Welcome to Real Talk, where I give real answers to real questions from real worship leaders. I got some really good questions sent in this week. If you have your own question you want answered on a future episode, head over to leadingworshipwell.com/realtalk, where you can submit your own question, and I might answer it on a future episode. We got some good questions this week. Let's talk about it. Thank you for your ministry. It has blessed me a lot. A local Church of Christ is bucking tradition. They typically don't use any instruments, and they've decided to start a worship team. Scandalous. Their pastor heard me lead worship at a local Bible study and asked me to be the worship leader. That particular study group dissolved when the pastor moved, and the Baptist church I attend is happy with the guitar/piano duet they currently have leading. So I'm not using my gifts to serve the Lord at the moment. Question is helping the Church of Christ congregation worship with music a good reason to switch churches, or should I wait for opportunities to serve with music if they come along where I'm at? Thanks for your wisdom, Laura. So how do you know when, if, you should leave one church and go to another church? And this is an interesting situation because it's not like there's anything wrong at the current church. It's just I see the need at another church, and so I'm going to go serve them. So from that perspective, let me give my wisdom, as you called it. Apparently I have wisdom, I don't know. From that perspective, I view the church as the capital C church. There is one church of Jesus Christ, the universal church of Jesus Christ. So if there is a need somewhere else in the capital C church, I think that it is well within the boundaries of acceptableness to go meet that need. If you aren't currently serving at your church and there legitimately isn't an opportunity to, and that's something I'm going to ask you about in this question is like, you said that your church is fine with just guitar and piano leading. Like, have you just assumed that, or have people told you that? Like, have you gone up to the people who lead worship on Sunday and said, hey, I've been coming here for a while and I play guitar and I sing and I'd love to be on the worship team? Like, have you had that conversation, or are you just assuming that the need is already met? Because I know in most churches, people would love to have somebody come up to them and say, I play guitar, I sing, I believe that God has gifted me in those areas. Would you be interested in me trying out for the worship team? Something along those lines. So don't assume that you can't be used at your current church if you haven't asked yet. Now, let's say that you have asked and you're not being used there. From the capital C church perspective, I would happily send forth someone to go serve at another church if there wasn't a need at my church. So that's big picture view. Little picture view. Don't just go to a church because they need somebody to play music there. Have you looked into what this church is all about? And I don't know much about the Church of Christ. Apparently, it's typical there to not use instruments in worship. That sort of mindset for me personally is a little bit of a red flag. I find that an interesting thought to be dogmatic about, where we are never going to use instruments in worship. And obviously this church doesn't believe that fully because they're going to have instruments in worship. But just that history would make me question other things in the church, and I would want to be careful about going to that church. I'm not just going to a church because I get to lead worship. That is never the right move. It says, I get to use my gifts here, so I'm going to go here. We should pick a church first that we would attend and be a part of because we think that it is a strong biblical church, a good place for us to be a part of, to grow in our faith, not just because we get to lead worship. So think about those things. Am I just going to this church because I want to lead worship on Sundays? Or is this a church that I can actually see myself being a part of? Like, look into their beliefs on salvation. I'm pretty sure the Church of Christ believes that you need to be baptized to be saved. Baptism is a necessary part of salvation. I don't know what you believe about that, but that's something good to know because that seems like kind of a big deal. And I personally don't believe that that's true. I believe that baptism is a mark of a salvation that has already happened and that we are saved through Christ alone. For me, that's a problem. And there's probably other beliefs in that church that I might not agree with that flow from that. So that's just like my thought process. If I was considering going to a new church to lead worship, those are some things to think about. I can't give you the answer. I don't think it's wrong if you decide to go there. Just make sure that you're going there for the right reason. For this next question, I asked my friend Rylan Russell from over on the Rylan Russell YouTube channel to answer this question. So take it away, Rylan.
Well, hey guys, Spencer, I just want to thank you for this really easy question that you've given me. Here it is. It says, I feel like through the years, I have needed to have plenty of hard conversations with musicians, vocalists, about why they either aren't included on a team or why they aren't asked to lead songs. When it comes to moral issues, this is much easier, but when it comes to skill or musicianship, it gets much harder. How do you handle these conversations? What are some examples of things that you say? Well, this is definitely something we encounter as worship pastors. At my church, I've been here on staff for almost 13 years, and yes, these things come up. And I've found that there's really 3 quick things that I'll tell you that you should keep in mind when you're having to navigate this sort of thing. And those 3 things are to speak with honesty, to create the right expectations in your worship ministry, and also to give opportunity for these people that maybe don't fit the leadership tier 1 of your team. There's a proverb that says, Proverbs 27:6 says, wounds from a friend can be trusted. And I think that the first step in any of these conversations are, do you have a relationship with this person? Have you actually pastored them? Do you know them as a person? Or are they just trying out? We need to speak with honesty in these types of situations. I don't think we need to be that parent that's telling their kid they can do anything and everything when really they are not gifted in that area. So speaking with honesty and truth and love, I think goes a long ways. Don't do this over text. Don't do this over email. I would say go out to coffee with them, sit down, and have this conversation. The second part of that is setting expectations for what you're looking for in your group. What do you value as a worship ministry? In our worship ministry here at Central, our purpose is that we want to lead worship with excellence, authenticity, while creating biblical avenues for people to worship Jesus. You can steal that if you want to. I'm pretty sure I stole it from someone else. But that idea of excellence, I would talk to this person about how that's just one of our core values as a worship ministry. And we're not saying that excellence equals perfection, but we're trying to do what Psalm 33:3 says, to play skillfully for the Lord. We see other examples in the Bible of that, how David even was a great harpist. And, maybe talking to this person about, what, I just don't think that skill-wise, you're quite there yet to either do that solo or to lead this song. And if they push back on that, you can go as far as, hey, let's look at these last few live streams. Let's look at this audition tape that we recorded. And I just want to coach you just a little bit because I care about you and I care about our worship ministry. And so that leads straight into the last thing that I would try to keep in mind is having an opportunity for those that aren't our top A team. And that may be being able to push them into a different pipeline, a different serving role where they could actually do some of those things and take on leadership responsibilities, whether that's leading a separate, maybe you have a senior adult service in your church that they could maybe serve in and really take on a leadership role, or a different team that leads in a different time. So it's not an easy conversation. And really, I can't say that I'm great at this, but those are things that I'm trying to keep in mind as you encounter these situations. It seems like for me that when people have approached me with these kinds of feelings, that it sometimes can be a heart issue, and the desire to be in the spotlight can be there a little bit. And so that almost makes me pause even more whenever people are approaching me about, why can't I ever get a solo? And that's not what it's about. And so just reinforcing that, hey, this is not about us. And right now, as the leader, I don't think that you're quite ready for that. Hopefully that helps. Take it, use it, throw it in the trash, whatever you want to do with it. That's what I would say. Thanks, Spencer.
Thanks so much for your insight, Ryland. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel yet, I'll link it in the description below, but it's Ryland Russell on YouTube. He's got a bunch of great videos on there. There's a bunch of tech videos, which are great if you're into tech. He's also got some Sunday vlogs up there, which I love watching. Every single time he posts one, I'm like the first to click on it. He takes you through what a Sunday morning looks like for him at his church. So go check out Ryland Russell on YouTube. I've heard you say that when you're leading worship, you should not close your eyes and enjoy your own personal worship moment, but to stay engaged with the church people. I have said that many times, so thank you for listening. But as a background singer that might only sing half of the time, how do I do that? It seems awkward to be looking at the congregation when I'm not actively involved in the song. I think it looks like I'm just gawking at people and not paying attention. Should I be looking at the song leader, scan the audience, and lip sync? How should I pass that time when I don't come in until the second chorus? Great question, and this is why we have Real Talk, because that's not something that I've thought about before. What does the background singer do whenever I say your eyes should be open? And I am talking to you as the background singer, but let's talk about what that specifically looks like. First of all, looking out at people is not awkward. I know it feels awkward, but people aren't, don't look like you're daydreaming. Like, do it intentionally. Look at people as you're singing, I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. We're singing this together so we can look at the people that we're singing it with. So I just want you to kind of reframe that in your mind. It's not awkward. And also, you were talking about, should I lip sync? Like, no, you don't have to lip sync. You don't have to hold the microphone up to you if you're a background singer, or if you have it on a stand, step back from the stand. We should be singing the whole time. Whenever you're leading worship, you aren't just waiting for your moment to come in to the song. And I do like, by the way, that you wait to come in until the second verse or whatever you talked about in the second chorus. That is 100% what you should be doing. So in those times before you come in, that's not your time to just wait until it's your time to come in. Remember, we are still worship leaders even when we don't have the microphone in front of us. So you should be singing the entire time. Step off the mic. You don't have to lip sync. You can sing like full volume. Just step back from the mic, or don't hold it in front of your mouth, and then sing and look at people. So to answer your question, you should be looking at the congregation. You should be looking at the people that you aren't just leading in worship, but that you are worshiping with. You can look at the song leader too if you need like a cue of when to come in. You probably already know when to come in though. You're not guessing. You've practiced these things in advance. So just lead with confidence. It's okay to have your eyes open. It's not awkward. In fact, most people probably aren't looking at you anyways. Let's be honest, they're probably looking at the words on the screen, which is perfectly fine. But we want to set that example. That is just a tangible reminder for people that this isn't a time to have our own personal times of worship, but we are worshiping together. And whenever you look at people while you are leading worship, you are reinforcing that. I did this because I want to give you like an example also of scanning the room. We aren't staring at one person the whole time. We're scanning the room. So it's not awkward. You're just looking at the people that you're leading like this. And then every once in a while, you'll make eye contact. And then you'll scan the room some more as you're singing the words to the song. And then, oh, it's chorus number 2, time for me to come in. And I'm in. And nothing has really changed other than the fact that I'm singing harmony now, and I've put the microphone in front of my face. Now, you probably already know that opening your eyes, I think, instantly improves your worship leading, but there's actually 4 other things that I want to teach you that instantly improve your worship leading. I don't have time for it in this video, but check out in the description below the link to the free audio training, 5 tips to instantly improve your worship leading. In that audio training, I'll teach you to open your eyes. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but also 4 other things that if you do it this Sunday, you will instantly level up your worship leading and be able to lead an engaging time of worship with confidence. So check that out in the description below. Also, if you have a question you want to send in for a future episode, head over to leadingworshipwell.com/realtalk where you can submit your own question and I might answer it in the next few weeks or so. Other than that, thanks so much for joining me. Until I see you in the next video, keep leading worship well.